What is this question? What would happen to your bones if you lived past 100? Well, people have done that, and I'm sure you could Google what people's skeletons look like that have passed away old. What do you mean? What would happen to your bones? You mean while they're still in your body and you're still alive? I grind them up and I eat them, and I absorb the power of my ancestors, dude. Anyone living to their 90s is insane. Getting to talk to someone in their 90s is like a really rare experience, just because so many people don't live that long. And a lot of people that do, they're hidden somewhere. Like, you don't get to just go talk to them. Something you should do, something I loved doing. It can be a great and sad experience, so just, you know, it's not all perfect and wonderful. But I used to, when I was playing music, right, and I would play my cello, I used to go and occasionally just play at retirement homes and things, or like hospice and things like that. And I would just go around and just play for people. And there was like a foundation that would send me in there and they'd pay me. It was like peanuts. I would get paid like $20 to go play all day. It was like, you know, it was like not really a good fee, but I didn't care. I would just do it. And I would go and I would play and just like talk to some of the people there. And some of them were all there, some of them were not, you know, whatever. But it was really nice, and it was really cool to be able to talk to people that, you know, were like 80s plus and just hear whatever they had to say, I guess, you know. But recommend it that you can go, and you don't need to play music to do that. You can just like ask if you can volunteer. You can ask if you can come in and just do something. Some places won't let you. Some places will be like, yeah, you know, we have people come in and read things, right? You could just come in and read a book to somebody or something like that, you know, whatever it is. But, and there are a lot of like organizations, foundations that send people in, so they have better ideas on stuff that you could help with. But, yeah, their stories were fun. What was really fun was, okay, some of them had normal stories, but some of them had no filter left. They were past a certain point where they like couldn't really filter themselves anymore. So some of the stuff they said was crazy. And like, you know, a lot of people a long time ago, they had a lot more shame, right? They were taught to have a lot more shame and humility about talking about certain things. A lot of stuff was more taboo, but they like just didn't care anymore. Some of them didn't, they did have a filter, they just didn't care because they were like, I'm old, I'm not gonna be here very long, it, you know? Yeah, grandma was chill like that. It was funny to talk to some of them about it, you know? There were a couple of them too that I remember, they just wanted to like be able to help. And they were like, hey, you're like a nice young lady. What can I help you with? Do you need wisdom? What's going on in your life? And there were several of them that asked me about me, and they were just like, you have any social situations going on? You want any life advice? You know? And so there were plenty that I would just talk about. I'd be like, yeah, this is what's going on. This is what I'm trying to decide between right now. And they'd just like offer whatever they could. It was genuinely really great, really nice. Some of them would give, you know, very archaic advice that I didn't really, like, there wasn't much I could do with it. But when it was like about more so, here's what I think you will and won't regret, like things like that, that's that like only wisdom gives you. I don't know. It was really nice. I always feel like old people are either happy or bitter. Now, I think they're just a normal sample of normal people, but plenty of them they don't have the same mobility they did. They get treated differently, etc. And there's a reason why they might talk to you immediately assuming you're going to treat them like just some weird old person. Or like, people treat a lot of older folks like children, like they're inept, like their brains are slow and they can't absorb what they're saying. Sometimes they need something explained to them because things are like slightly slower, but it doesn't mean that their cognition is always like up. And people treat them all like they're like all developing Alzheimer's, you know? I find that that's why a lot of older folks, I think, like kind of start off a little bitter, because I think they're just defensive because people treat them like you know? Or they don't understand a lot of things around them, and people are like not explaining it to them well. I remember one old lady that I would play for, she just wanted me to explain technology, and she wanted to know about the internet. And I would explain a lot of it to her. I wouldn't just give her a cursory thing and be like, oh, whatever. She was curious. She wanted to know, like, what are some uses? And I showed her, like, here's a forum, and we use this for a lot of different things. Like, a lot of people use them for video games or hobbies or something, you know? And I would show, like, explain what an account is and why you make one. And I'd be like, it's like how you send letters from your own address and you put your name on it. It's like that. You just get to choose the name, and then you post things in a spot and anyone can see it instantly, right? And like, I would explain this stuff, and she was able to understand much of it so well because I explained it all to her. I wasn't just like, oh, you just send whatever. I didn't like skip 1,000 steps, you know? And I had so much fun explaining it to her that I was like, other people should just do this. Like, not all of them want to know this stuff, but, you know, she did. A lot of people don't have the attention span to try and work with them. That's really true. A lot of people are so impatient. They're impatient, but it means that they can't work with kids well either. You know, it's not just elderly folk. Like, they can't work with anyone when it's that bad, you know? They can't work with anyone who's not in their 20s to 40s. How would you explain VTubers to them? If I'm explaining what that is to like an old person, I would just be like, well, you know how they make cartoons and they draw frame by frame animations? They would be able to understand that, like, here's how we draw Mickey Mouse and here's how we animate him, right? I would explain how that works, right? And I'd be like, you know how Mickey Mouse frame by frame animation is, right? Show like old drawings getting turned into animations. Show them a video that shows that and go, now imagine if you had a thing that did this in real time. So there's a camera looking at you and it looks at your face. And when you turn your head this way, it knows what animation to play relating to that. Oh, head turned to the right, right? If I blink, it knows what that animation should look like. So all it does is a camera reads what you're doing and then plays the right animation. That's how I would explain it to them. It's obviously there's a little more depth to it than that, but that's how I explained it to one of my grandparents.